Every week, players gather at their local game stores. They trade, and they battle valiantly for both fun and glory. But amidst their triumph, only two will make it to the finals to fight. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Final Fights. Tonight we're going to be seeing Katakuri versus Purple Luffy. This was recorded in the finals of my LGS. One of which I played Red Purple Luffy. Did not do too hot into especially this Katakuri, and it looks like Katakuri is going to play a pudding and then immediately whiff off the pudding. Very unfortunate for Katakuri, but honestly a pretty common sight for Katakuri as well, as there's just not nearly as many Big Mom targets in the deck nowadays than there used to be, so that card does sometimes just end up whiffing pretty hard. I don't even think the deck runs Sanjis anymore, so that top 4 searcher for Sanji or Big Mom just doesn't do nearly as much as they wanted to see here. Katakuri did end up taking the play from Purple Luffy, which is going to severely hurt Purple Luffy's win percentage. Anytime Purple Luffy is forced to go second, it's an uphill battle. We'll see if Luffy can find what they need, potentially go into a Zoro here, and then try to find that 7-drop Luffy. Did not look like he has one in hand. Gonna ramp up to 5. Gonna likely play the Zoro out here. And that Robin coming out on that first turn is pretty clutch against Katakuri. Katakuri didn't have a turn to play, instead opting to block that 9k attack, which is pretty great. If Katakuri gets off those early swings and you're not able to either whittle down your hand size or take the damage, definitely hurts you in the later game, especially playing Purple Luffy, who's going to often take quite a few life to just ramp up here. Still no 7-drop Luffy in sight here. Picked up a Sanji off the Zoro. Now this Law is gonna likely grab a 9-drop Luffy. Looks like there's also an Uso Hachi in hand as another 2k, but man, would love to see 7-drop Luffy at this point. That would be the nice curve filler for this next turn, but we do have a 9-drop Luffy for the turn after. Gonna go up to the 5-Dawn turn for Katakuri. Katakuri's deck doesn't really jive well on the odd curve, definitely likes the even curve, but had to take it from Purple Luffy just because it just really hurts them. Gonna take a 5k, gonna get countered out of, and then gonna play a Nami. Nami's gonna pop the Zoro. Gonna end up cycling a card for Katakuri. This Katakuri only had 3 cards in hand at the time after discarding there. Gonna go back to good old Purple Luffy's turn. 7-dropper bust at this point. We did not find one. We're going to look at the top 4 off another Law Searcher. We found it. The 7-drop is here. Does have the ability to ramp here to go up to 7-Dawn on the... or go up to 8-Dawn on the 7-Dawn turn here. Going to go see a 5k go into lead. Just going to immediately take that. No trigger off of Katakuri, and just going to ramp here and play out 7-drop Luffy. One of the best plays that you could see on curve. If you see this card off curve, it gets a little awkward, but right here in this great sweet spot, this is going to be a very, very powerful curve. 7-drop Luffy into Sanji, or Sangoro, into next turn, potentially playing the, looks like he's got a Big Mom in hand as well as a 9-drop Luffy, so just continuing to establish a really tall board here. 5k in the lead, going to get a 1k counter. Is that a manga? It sure is. Opponent's flexing over here with a manga kid. 1k counter, just casually throwing, a $600 card to counter for 1k. Funny how that happens. And then we're going to see a Big Mom. Big Mom's going to trash the top card of good old Luffy's life. I'm going to go back to Luffy's turn here. Luffy is up to 9 Dawn here. Could play out a Lin to recoup that life back. That was just trashed by the other Lin. Going to see a 6k, drawing a card. Going to get a 2k counter out of hand. Going to see a 5k. I believe that's going at Nami here. Katakuri definitely wants to protect the board as much as possible, but this is definitely going to eat Katakuri's hand size here. We're going to see a now 8k go into Nami. Maybe wouldn't have tried to save the Nami there. That Brûlée blocker could have been something useful later in the game, especially seeing the Sanji get countered out of, or used for counter earlier in the game. I don't really know how many Sanji's this Purple Luffy deck runs. I know most of them run 2 to 3, but seeing a Sanji go away is potentially an indicator of one in hand, or just not. Having better targets in hand. But going back to Purple Luffy's turn here, did manage to find another 7-drop Luffy here. A whole bunch of searchers, 3 Laws and a Zoro. Luffy definitely knows what's going on. Definitely going to find everything that they need in their deck. Going to play out a kid here. There is a little bit of fear for Luffy right now, as he is facing down some rather large threats. That Charlotte Lin being an 8k could easily check the 8-drop or the 8k Luffy there, but having that blocker on board does make things mighty awkward for Katakuri here. Would love to see potentially like another 7-Mom would be pretty neat. You could use 2 Dawn to just kind of pressure face here, and then making your opponent make a decision, trashing a card or not. But instead we're going to see a 5k with the good old Gonna just get easily blocked here, which likely means that, you know, opponent's gonna be countering out of any swings into the Luffy Taro. Opponent does have 3 Dawn up, which likely means a Gum Gum Giant's gonna come off here. We're gonna see just an 8K. I think that 8K is going either into lead or into Kid here. Either way, it's gonna get countered out of. Gonna see one of the best cards, honestly, in this deck and in any deck that can run a Straw Hat leader with purple in its color. I honestly love this card. Love that card in red purple Luffy. Love it in Robin. Love it in purple Luffy. Gonna love it in blue purple Luffy in the future. It is just a phenomenal card. Why is it that Straw Hat Pirates get all the best event counters, right? Radical Beam and now this card. Opponent's just gonna swing 9K. Gonna look at the top card. Gonna see a second Gum Gum Giant come out of hand here. Our Luffy player has just negged 4 Dawn in 1 turn. And yeah, getting out of another attack. I believe that was going into probably the Kid here, as that was a 9K swing. Gonna go back to good old Luffy's turn. Luffy had a little bit less Dawn than he was the turn before, but his board is still intact here. And Katakuri, this game could slowly get away from Katakuri here, as Luffy has been cycling cards like a madman, finding everything he needs, just keeping up that hand size here. And Katakuri is working on scraps at this point. Luffy, no fear, gonna go ahead and activate leader effect, go up to 9 Dawn, and we're gonna see a 2K swing into a 2K body, going down from a law here, and then we're gonna see a 6K swing with Sangoro gonna draw Luffy. Another card, such an unbelievable card for the purple Luffy deck. Sangoro, if you do not deal with that card, it's just going to run away with the game. It's going to give Luffy so much card advantage. And opponent forgot to untap their leader here. Going to go ahead and swing 5K into lead. Going to get a 1K counter out of life. Going to swing 8K into lead. Going to go ahead and take that. No trigger off the top. Katakuri getting incredibly unlucky here. The slot machine is just not working tonight. Going to go ahead and tap 7, gonna play out another 7-drop Luffy. We knew that was in hand for a few turns here. What potentially is he gonna be playing out here? He is at 2 or less Dawn than his opponent, so minusing all that Dawn the previous turn is gonna allow him to play a Sanji blocker for on the cheap, right? So Sanji reduces by 3 cost if you have 2 or less Dawn. Then your opponent fanning out hand looks like 6 cards in hand, 1 Dawn up, 2 blockers. And man, we're at Big Bomb turn, but is it enough at this point? We're going to see an 8K swing go into, looks like lead here. Going to just get, no, this is going, I think into the Sangoro. Going to get just easily countered out of here. Then we're going to see the Big Bomb come down. We're going to see a 5K go in, and then another 5K. And double blocked by the 6K blockers here. And going back to Katakuri's turn. This is not looking good for Katakuri. Yes, Big Mom did come down, but Big Mom came down maybe a little late and into a very unfortunate board state here. Only 4 cards in hand, no blockers, 3 life, and a whole lot of threats on board here. You're going to see a 7K swing go with Sangoro here, drawing Luffy yet another card, and going to get a 0 cost event pitching a Big Mom out of hand to counter out of that. We're going to see a 7K swing go with Luffy. Just going to keep checking the opponent. Just keep with Katakuri being at such a low hand size, just going 7K swings is just really efficient right now for Dawn. Just going to go ahead and swing 8K in the lead. Going to just snap take that one as well here. Opponent looks like it might be a trigger. Does see a good old Nami, Egghead Nami. Going to trash a Robin and then draw a card because it's 3 or less cards in hand. And now that gets rid of 1 attacker for good old Luffy here. Maybe if potentially get a nice trigger here or something off the top. And 8K swing is going to go in. Does not have a trigger. Would have loved to see a trigger there to stay alive. But this game looks like it's completely going away for Katakuri. Going to see a big old swing. And that's unfortunately not going to be enough in hand. Katakuri would have loved to see something like a beige or something to get out of that. But could have potentially stole the game back from Luffy. But it does turn out that purple Luffy did have a Nami in hand. And all that Dawn up was going to be used for that. If you like this type of content, definitely subscribe, and we'll see you next Friday for another episode of Final Fights.